am beyond pissed. It's bad enough that the president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints sends me a death threat over the pulpit of conference and uses as his weapon an infected tenant in my building. And then to be followed up by Jeffrey R. Holland giving me a day and time period for another death threat. But because they don't have the courage to be men, if you want to call it that, to fight their own battles, to pay for and order other people to do their dirty work for them, so they can distance themselves from accountability. I am beyond pissed. So this morning, we had a lunar eclipse, didn't we? It's the second of another tetrad. And so, as I've told you guys, there is a pattern, a scientific pattern. And I can't explain it, it just exists. With lunar eclipses and deaths of Mormon prophets. That was my field of education, was to learn about such ancient beliefs. And so when Elder Faust died, way back in 2007, I thought that was curious. But then Hinckley dies. And I went, oh, okay, that's now getting weird. But time goes on, and we have the tetrad of 2014-2015. Where after the third one, remember this was the second one, Perry Packer Scott died before the fourth one. The prophet, Thomas S. Monson, came out and said, nope, this is not a sign of the heavens for the latter days. And so there were Mormons who did not believe. And you get Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow as part of that consequence, when all they had to do was say, yes, we're approaching the latter days, it's coming. And Chad and Lori would have not done what they did. Hopefully. Nonetheless, Thomas S. Monson, the big one, So last night, in my video, and I have planned to do a separate video dedicated directly to it, I explained how the Book of Mormon testifies of the identity of the great and abominable church. And there is not a single Mormon who can dare defy the Book of Mormon to claim the church is not the fulfillment. That's their conundrum. And so they have to shut it out, not think about it, run away and hide when it's brought up. That's what you do when you're terrorized. The church are terrorists. Criminal terrorists. They are anti-government. They are seeking to overthrow this government so they can go back to freely committing all the crimes they want and had previously done in the past. I reached out to the Attorney General for help. I gave him the tip for today, specifically going over it in detail. And he betrayed me, just like Barr did. But I expected Barr to do that. We are a fallen nation. We are at war. And we are losing. I woke up at 1:30 this morning to see if the clouds would give me a break and let me see the blood moon. They did not. The eclipse was eclipsed, and my internet eclipsed me with their eclipse. It had been out previously, obviously, making sure that I would not have access to the internet this whole morning, because my internet was not restored until 5 minutes to noon. I selected courses from the college and universities that I went to create my education. In the United States and even in the world, despite my not having the money to just travel around to whichever school is the closest to what I'm looking for. Nonetheless, I designed my own education. And it can technically be called anthropology of the ancient Middle East. But I also am a scientist, in that I am educated in developing theories to be tested. And so when the internet went down, well, I had evidence that was at first coincidental. Oh, wow, that's kind of a coincidence. Here I am saying something's going to happen to me on today, this morning, and here it is. And so I did video updates in case the internet came back on. And it didn't. not until it was too late. I am also, because I'm an anthropologist of the ancient Middle East, and having been born and raised Mormon, all alone. As I've told you before, I didn't have Mormons in my neighborhood growing up. If I was going to learn Mormonism, it was going to be on my own study. And I did. And that, coupled with my education, I am a biblical scholar. And with those educational pursuits and fields, I then deciphered ancient Paleo-Hebrew script, which led me to decipher Paleo-Hebrew, the vocabulary. And that led me to deciphering the Egyptian signs that are not listed, because Egyptologists have not realized that they too also need to be translated. And with that, I then discovered the origins of the source document origins of the Bible, all of them. And lo and behold, we've got one next year coming that will be fulfilled, because it's all apocalyptic literature, not history. And it's one thing to hate me because you believe lies. That Constantine did not create Jesus. Jesus is real history, as Constantine says. If you refuse to see the origins, as Mormons refuse to see the origins, you become the enemy. This is why the Catholic Church murdered scientists and discoverers and inventors. This is why there was the Spanish Inquisition. This is why the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints are bloodthirsty murderers, not just the Mountain Meadows Massacre. Brigham Young and Heber C. Kimball planted John Taylor and Willard Richards to assassinate Joseph and Hiram so that Brigham and Heber could run the church. And they lied and lied so that they can secure their position. And they committed crime after crime. And the church refuses to tell us that that Church of Brigham's, incorporated in 1851, was closed, shut down, disincorporated under Wilford Woodruff. The church wants to say that the United States denied the church of their religious practices, their religious freedom. Crime is not religious freedom. Polygamy is a crime. Tithing, fraud, and extortion is a crime. You cannot redefine those to justify crime. Crime is taking away the rights of life, liberty, and property to others. It's right there in the Constitution. And the prophets want to overthrow the Constitution in the United States of America. As some of you might know, I had an interview planned for this morning. I was going to be interviewed because of my education. Somebody who has thousands of followers wanted to interview me. It's not about Mormonism. So the church shouldn't have felt threatened by it. But if they want to be Christian, yeah, I guess they would. Joseph Smith was not Christian. I don't understand why Mormons can't pick it out from their own first vision. Now, I understand the church doesn't want you to know about Constantine and the Nicene Creed. But with Google search, with the internet, as long as the church doesn't shut it down, everybody can actually do more in-depth research on the Mormon scriptures. But the church doesn't want that, because Mormons might find out the truth, and the remaining 3 million might also abandon the church. Because this guy is so popular, he's booked months, almost a year in advance. But he wanted to interview me so badly that he rearranged his fully booked schedule just for me. And the first time, a couple months ago, or a few months ago, it was my fault. Because he's Eastern Standard Time, and I'm Mountain Standard Time. But he wanted me bad enough that he rescheduled for today. And yes, I was concerned. I knew the dangers of the church. But I'm not likely to get another interview. You cannot claim to be the winner when you're the bad guy. But history is written by the winners. And so lots of history is written by the bad guys. I'm well aware of that because of my education. There's lots of documents where both sides claim they won a battle. In particular, there's one called the Battle of Armageddon, where the Hittites encroached into Egypt through Canaan, and David Moses IV went up with his armies to do battle. And it technically was a draw, but the Hittites retreated. So their encroachment was for naught. But they still claimed that they won. And just as David Moses IV said he won. YouTube aids and abets the criminal behavior of the church as they are ordered to silence me. Because that's what this terrorist attack was on me this morning. It was to silence me. When I got access to the internet, I looked to see if it was breaking news or if it was just me. And apparently it was for my internet alone. There were some others that had some problems too. I saw Facebook on there. But it didn't make the news. Neither did my internet. I saw that the one murderer was found not guilty. So I guess he's not a murderer. Yeah, I'm sure the victims disagree. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, because they are winning, are able to rewrite history. And because of me, they are still rewriting history. And if they are able to successfully silence me for good, nothing will stand in their way. Because you guys don't believe me. You guys don't care. You just watch my video to be entertained, and you're not entertained because I'm not entertaining, and so you go your way, thinking I'm some kind of a Benadai. It's from the Book of Mormon. He was falsely accused of being a terrorist and mentally ill. Joseph Smith, likewise, he wonders why people who would treat him like that would not treating him kindly, to endeavor to bring him back from his deluded state. It's because Mormons are past feeling. They are ripe for destruction. In 2022, apparently you guys get one more year to repent. Not the incorrect translation of repent, but you will suffer just like we did this year. We got some stuff coming. Some big stuff coming, not just the finishing of the tetrad. I wasn't sure when the internet was coming back, so I was grateful I got that printed yesterday. I may or may not do the video of my notes. I'm too pissed right now. I want to say words, but that would just give YouTube an excuse to delete this video and cancel my channel, which is what they're drooling for. This pattern of practice of the church must stop. And they're not doing it. And our government is not stepping in to stop them again. So, yeah, you will not get the other videos that I had made. Now that the internet is back and I found out what actually happened, I am pissed.